Hey guys, Sean here with DBC Offroad. Welcome back to the channel. So I've ordered the Expedition 1 rear dual swing out tire carrier bumper for the 4Runner. It's in the box behind me. I'm going to open it up, show you what's inside, and see what it looks like when it's shipped. Alright guys, here is the huge box that it came in. It's 7 feet long, it has a shipping weight of 340 pounds, and it's on a pallet, packaged super well. I had to open it up just a little bit to inspect it when it got delivered, but I'll finish opening it up to show you what's inside and what it looks like packaged. Holy smokes, that was a lot of packaging. Totally worth it though, because this thing looks amazing. Comes powder coated, so there's no damage to the powder coat. Everything is exactly how it should be. I'll show you all the little pieces that I took out. Okay, so here's all the little pieces. I'll get these unpackaged real quick. This box right here, that thing is crazy heavy. Okay, so here's everything that was packaged inside the box and everything else is unwrapped. I still want to know how much everything weighs, so I'm going to throw it on the scale. I'll just save some time and throw the numbers up here for you. Okay, so now that we've seen what all the little metal pieces that we bolt on to the swing arms and the swing arms themselves, what they weigh, I'll show you the bumper weight here on the screen. It's about 121 pounds. Of course, we have to add the spare tire, which is about 104 pounds. I'll show you right here. Plus the added weight of the high lift jack, which is about 27 pounds. Throw that up here. So after all said and done, a total weight of everything that I've added was about 400 pounds, just under 400 pounds. So one thing to consider, I took off the spare tire, so I'll show that weight here. We also need to do a couple additional weights of the trim plastic and a few metal pieces. I'll show that here. The total removed weight was 77 pounds. We added 394 with the bumper, took away 77, and we're left with 317 pounds total by adding this bumper to the back of the 4Runner. Really, I don't think it's that big of a deal. All over the internet, you'll see people adding these bumpers to their 4Runner and complain about how much weight it adds to the back. To me, it actually balances out the 4Runner front to back, because after adding the front bumper with the winch and all that weight, you can check out that video here, it really adds balance to the 4Runner. The only thing I will say is now the 4Runner with me in it is about 6,000 pounds, and it takes a lot to stop it now. The factory brakes are just not cutting it. So that'll probably be my next upgrade. All right, after all the hard work, it's finally installed, and here's what it looks like on the rig. So I'll show you how it works. You know, both sides open up, obviously. You lift up the latch here and swing this side out until it hits the detent. Same thing on this side. On the tire side, you do have to be careful because the tire weighs quite a bit more. So, you know, slowly open it up until it hits the detent so you don't shear that pin off. And then just open it up like normal. One thing to consider on this side, if you're in a parking lot, it does swing out quite a bit, and if you're parked really close to a car, it could possibly hit the car next to you, so don't just let it fly. One thing I do wish it had like a detent to do like a half open, so it stopped here, but unfortunately the only opening is all the way out. So to put it back, you just turn this pin sideways and then lift up on the latch, push it back in. Same thing on this side, push the pin, swinging around the side, and then there you go. You're ready for more off-roading. Okay, so now that it's installed, everything that I've gone through, let's talk about a few things. So one of the glaring issues with purchasing this bumper is the installation instructions are really not great. I was planning on doing kind of like a quasi install video, kind of tips and tricks. And then really the install took way longer than I thought, and it really would have been a video about me cussing and throwing things in the garage while installing it. So, hey Expedition 1, make better instructions. Okay, now that I got that out of the way, it's really in the grand scheme of things not that big of a deal because you're only going to install it once. And depending on how long you own your 4Runner, it probably isn't that big of a deal. There are a few tips that I have when installing it, however. So I would install the latch plates that bolt to the bumper first before you install the bumper on the 4Runner. Another thing I would do is trim the mud flaps so that the mud flaps cover up the hole behind the rear tire. Another suggestion I have is install the camera mount first before installing the swing arm location for the spare tire. This is a little unique because I have 35s on my 4Runner and I don't necessarily think this bumper was designed for a tire that big. Part of the reason is when I first had it, I had it down low and to the right. Well, it blocks the right brake light and I really don't want to get hit in the rear, so I moved it farther over to the left before installing the camera. Well, then that had some issues because then it would, when I close it, it would strike the camera mount. So I had to lift it up and it's just a very nuanced position, and this is the best spot for me without tilting it. The only bad thing about lifting it higher is that on the highway it doesn't rattle, it just shakes, and you can see it in the rearview mirror. I haven't had any issues with the strength of it at all. With 35 up there, it just will move a little bit more than I was expecting. Something else to consider is this mount on the swing arms. There's a ton of holes and it looks like you can configure things up and down however you want for the high lift jack. The base plate for the high lift jack also has a ton of those holes, so you think it looks like it's infinitely adjustable. The problem is none of the holes line up or down. They only line up left or right. So where it sits right now is exactly where it's going to be up and down. You can only move it left to right. So that's a little bit disappointing. The last complaint I have is actually with the latches themselves. They're adjustable, but they don't ever really align just right. About half the time I kind of struggle opening and closing the latches, and they seem to have just overcomplicated the design compared to other bumpers on the market. Okay, so my final gripe with this bumper is the lead time. Initially when I bought it, lead time said 8 to 14 weeks. So I purchased it, then during the lead time they updated the website to 12 to 16 weeks, which really isn't that much more, but it is what it is. The problem is the actual lead time for when I actually got it was 20 weeks, which is roughly 5 months. So it's pretty frustrating throwing that much money down and then just waiting an unknown amount of time before I get the bumper. Okay, so I just want to make it clear, I'm not trying to hate on Expedition 1 and their bumper. I actually really do like this bumper. I'm just an average guy who spent a lot of money on a bumper, and this is my experience. And I just wanted to share that with you so that you have, a heads up on what you're getting into. If none of these issues that I've brought up bother you, then I do recommend this bumper. I am very happy with it after all said and done, and everything's worked out, all the kinks. So the final question, like always, would you do it again? And the answer actually is no. Even though I could recommend this bumper, the reason why is because I have 3 dogs and I take them out running in the hills just about every single day. So opening up the hatch, it's just a convenience issue. Call it lazy, whatever you'd like. I would just prefer, after knowing what I know now, just one swing arm to open up, and that therefore making it easier to get my dogs out of the hatch. So I hope this video was informative and helpful for you. If you'd like a little bit more information, check out Sandy Cat's videos. He has a couple of these installed on his rigs. Thanks again for watching. Please hit the subscribe button and the thumbs up button, and then I'll see you again in future videos.